Well, alrighty then. That was some NCS music for you guys, because I needed some of that for, the YouTube clips. Don't want to get copied again. Don't want to get hit with the, little DMCA. Or get told half my audio is missing from my streams because YouTube decided to take it away. Alright, I just got the tweet out, so unless some people roll on in, if people do decide to roll on in, we have no idea. But of course I gotta fix the hair. If you guys know me, it's a absolute staple of mine is fixing my hair every 5 fucking seconds. Because we love to do that. Man, I got this light super bright too, by the way, but that's alright, we'll make it work, I really liked how my hair looked yesterday when I was like, going over this kind of stuff when I was like preparing for today. And then, of course now I hate it. So that's pretty typical. But that's okay, we'll make do of it. So if you guys are watching on YouTube, I'm live on Twitch. The YouTube's gonna be the past broadcast of it, but I am on Twitch right now, so if I do talk to the most random people ever, it's people on Twitch. The chat's obviously not live on YouTube, chat's live on Twitch. So if you guys are watching on YouTube, twitch.tv/mediabyKJM, same thing as here on YouTube. So welcome to Press Start is to Heal. It's going to be a new podcast. It's something I've been wanting to do for a while now. I've always wanted to make some kind of series, whether it's about fitness or mental health or esports. So I just said, screw it, and let's just combine all of them. I feel like I've been through a lot, both mentally, physically, to where I just want to preface right now, I am not a therapist. I am not claiming to be a professional in this at all. I am not your go-to guy for all this help stuff, trust me. I just think I'm a normal person, which a lot of people could connect with as a normal person. And hopefully I can share some of my experiences, some of my, stuff that's gotten me through things. And, hopefully I could be that kind of guy for you. And hopefully this stream could be like a safe space for people. That's kind of what I want this to be, a place where I could share my own, feelings and experiences, but a place that you guys can do that as well. And then hopefully that my guests can. As you can see today, it's just me. This is kind of more of a test stream and kind of introducing the stream, introducing myself, or introducing the podcast of what it's going to be. And then eventually, every Friday, Friday, Saturday, or both, depending on, what kind of guests I got lined up. And hopefully I do have guests lined up. We're going to have somebody on. We're going to talk about them, their mental health stuff, or any of their situations. Mostly going to be in the esports scene because that's where my connections all are. So most streams are going to be very similar in what I ask them. I do have like a list of questions or points I want to get to because I don't want it to be too interviewee. I don't want it to be like scripted, but I have points I want to get to with every guest I have on. And then obviously depending on the person itself, I have very specific questions for them. I don't have Scump, Optic Call of Duty player. I don't have Scump coming out of the podcast, trust me. Let's just stop that right there. I don't have him as a guest lined up, but let's just say I did. I'd want to ask him about retirement, how that affects, mentals. Gaming for so long, how that affects, mental stuff. Balancing the physical and mental aspect with your gaming career, all that kind of stuff. So obviously it depends on the person, but for today, it is just me. The goal of this, I've been listening to a lot of podcasts, especially Jay Shetty. He's on Spotify. I'm sure he's on all the things, but he's interviewed people like Tom Holland, Kobe Bryant. Recently just interviewed Joe Biden. I don't know how he got that. That's pretty awesome. I didn't watch that episode, but I've been really enjoying the Kobe Bryant, the Tom Holland, Lewis Hamilton. Is that the F1 racer? Lewis Hamilton. I've been enjoying that podcast as well. And just listening to him talk and his guest talk, it's been like the best part of my day to and from when I'm going to the gym. That's what I listen to. So I kind of want to do that for myself in the esports scene. I don't have, like I said, people like Kobe Bryant, or obviously Kobe Bryant's, gone, but I don't have people like LeBron James. I don't have these crazy actors and athletes lined up for the pod, but hey, maybe eventually, who knows? Maybe we'll get there. So you guys can find this, obviously, on Twitch. That's where we're going to be, right on here. If you're here, you're here. Cool. If you're watching on YouTube, like I said, Media by KJ, I'm on Twitch. And then to stay up to date with everything, Media by KJ, I'm on Twitter as well. That's usually where I'm most active. So Media by KJ, I'm on pretty much everything. Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, here on Twitch, YouTube. You'll find everything there. So for those who do not know me, for those who are brand new to like what I do and everything I am, my name is Kyle Miller. I am an esports photographer. That's like been my thing for the past 6-7 years now. And then obviously when COVID hit, there were no events to be had. So I kind of moved over to social media management and tried, figuring out how to ways I could do content, like I said, social media, all that kind of stuff. And I believe that's where a lot of my mental health journey kind of started, especially in esports. And that's why I wanted to like bring more awareness and attention to mental health in esports. As a photographer, there was a lot of pressure for photo delivery, like getting the photos on time, making sure your photos are good. And then, of course, the whole theme of today's episode, really, the comparison being the thief of joy, that's huge for me, at least, in esports photography. In esports in general, but for me, esports photography in general. You'd see Robert Paul or Tom Brady. Tom Brady, no. Joe Brady, what the heck? Not Tom Brady. Joe Brady, Robert Paul, all these other amazing photographers work on your timeline, and it's very easy for me, at least, to get jealous or to think my work's less because it's not theirs and it's not as good as theirs. But then you got to realize you're comparing your work, especially when I first started. You're comparing your work to people that have been doing this for 5 times, sometimes 10 times as long as you. You really can't be, comparing yourself to that. That's just, you're killing your own, like, you're killing yourself before you even started, really. It's not a good way to compare that. You shouldn't be doing that kind of stuff. And then with social media, boy, I did socials for COD Gamepedia, which is like, it's like Wikipedia, but for Call of Duty, and all the stats and matches and players, all the kind of information. There's a website for it. But their Twitter account, they used to do live updates of like the matches going on for the Call of Duty League, and I used to like do those tweets. I'd be watching the match, I would tweet out a scoreboard, giving updates to like, oh, this team's winning 2-2, blah blah blah. Or you would tweet out memes, obviously depending on what's happening on the map, what's happening in the game, or whatever, just stuff like that. So I ran their socials for quite a while, especially during the Black Ops Cold War season. I can't remember what year that was. It was either 2021 or 20. 2020. I can't remember. I lose track of time so very easily, especially with Call of Duty titles. And I remember working as that social media manager, and if like a tweet, I post it for some reason. For a tweet, if I tweeted something and it didn't get a certain amount of likes, or I come up with a meme and it didn't get as much engagement as I wanted to on a tweet, I valued my happiness and like my worthiness on that tweet and on those numbers a tweet would get or didn't get in that sense. And looking back on it, it's so stupid. Like, but I'm sure a lot of people do it. I mean, a lot of people on YouTube, I'm sure if their videos don't get a certain amount of views, or they don't get enough likes, or their streams don't get enough people to watch, people will be like, okay, well, I failed, blah blah blah. But I was basing happiness off of like Call of Duty tweets and scoreboard updates. It was the worst, like, mental battle with myself every day. That's why I loved when Optic played. When Optic played, the most popular team, you could, like, one of their players like could do something awesome, like, and not even awesome. A player on their team could get like a 2-piece, like 2 kills in a row, and I could post a photo, just a random photo of like Shotzi biting his lip, one of their players, and like the tweet would get 1,000 likes, 500 retweets, shit, just some crazy stuff like that. And that's when you'd feel like, okay, great, oh my god, my tweet just popped off, I'm worthy, I'm happy now. Like, it was such a terrible dynamic to be in, but that's what it was. That's where I was at with social media management. So that, and like the pressures of working as a photographer in the esports scene, those two things kind of introduced me at least to mental health in esports. Not in life, but in esports. So let's just go back in time, I guess. We'll get rid of, like, we'll stop talking about the esports part, because obviously it started before that. Oh, excuse me. But yeah, the mental health journey, I think it started post high school. I don't really remember too much. I'm sure I was sad or like upset about things in high school and middle school. Like, I'm sure, a girl didn't like me in middle school or something. I was upset about it, or like I didn't do well in gym class, flag football or something. I'm sure I was sad or, upset about something, but I didn't really think about like depression or like mental health until I was out of high school. It's kind of when I got out of high school, got my first like job, and then found my first girlfriend. Like, that's when I really started not understanding, but starting to get into mental health and being depressed and sad and like stuff like that. So post high school, got a job, found a girl at that job. We're together for like a couple years, and then you got cheated on. It's like, okay. Obviously, one of the worst ways to go out in a relationship, being cheated on, because then you feel absolutely worthless. But I mean, looking back on it, that relationship, it was never going to be anything anyway. It was just my first relationship, and I think every relationship you're in, you have to learn something from it for it not to be a waste. I wasted so much time and money looking back on it in this relationship, but at least I've learned stuff about it, about myself from that relationship and what I look for in somebody. I think there were a lot of things that she did or that we did that I kind of just let go, kind of like looked over it, didn't really think too much of it, and I just kind of like let it happen. I was always the one like spending the money on dates or gifts or anything like that, and like it was so stupid. Like, she would do something wrong, or like she would start an argument, or we would argue over something, like I said, like I think it was her fault or that she did, and then my ass would end up like buying flowers or like some random ass gift the next day. Like trying to like make amends for the argument. It's so weird, it's so random, it's stupid, but that's what I was doing. I was like, I don't like to use the word simp, but I was very much a simp for this first relationship. I really wanted it to work. I would do anything for it to work, and then so to learn from that was the lesson from that relationship. Just stop doing that. It was stupid. And after that, when job after job, literally Wendy's, Target, Walmart. After those, Walmart's where I worked with my with that girlfriend we just talked about. After we broke up, I went to go be a chef at a country club, and I also went to culinary school. But then at like the same time, I realized I didn't really enjoy the job aspect of it. I had a really tough sous chef, kind of a dick. if I'm being honest. My head chef was an amazing guy, really nice guy. Super understanding, especially when it came to like needing time off to go to events to do photography, which was my like actual passion. But my sous chef, man, that guy made cooking just so unfun, and cooking should be fun. I think you make your best stuff when you're having fun and you love doing what you're doing, especially when it comes to food. So he made it just extremely unfun. So at the same time, I left that job, and I stopped going to culinary school. So, again, no job, no school, nothing. Back to square one. It seemed like, and that's when I started to gaining a lot of like weight. For those that do know me, I used to be 300 pounds, over 300 pounds in like 2020 before COVID started. Mixture of just eating like shit, didn't have a job or school, so I literally didn't like leave the house much. I just played games, woke up, played games, ate. I ate out twice a day. I'd go to Jersey Mike's for lunch and Panda for dinner. It was shit like that. And then at night, like, I'd be on that gamer degenerate sleep schedule, so I was up until about 3 a.m. And at like 2 a.m. I'd make some like Stouffer's family size lasagna or some shit from the freezer downstairs, and I would eat that at like 2 a.m. The whole thing, family size and everything. And then you'd go lay down in bed, or sometimes I'd be laying in bed while I'm eating it, but then you'd go lay in bed and go to sleep with that just sitting in your stomach. So if I ever wondered how I got to 300 pounds, I shouldn't have been wondering how I got to 300 pounds. It was quite obvious how I did. So January of 2020, that's when I stepped on the scale for the first time ever. I knew I wasn't healthy. Trust me, I wasn't sat there like, I'm fine, I'm cool, I'm chilling. Like I look great. I'm not unhealthy. I knew I was. I'd walk up the stairs and I'd be out of breath. Like, it wasn't anything obvious. But I finally stepped on the scale, read 300 pounds, and, like, I almost said 303 to be exact. But I saw over 300, and I was like, just seeing the 3 number at the beginning of the scale didn't sit right with me. I'm not sure why that was the wake-up call. I'm glad it was. I don't know why that was it. Like I said, panting while going up the stairs probably should have been the wake-up call, but it wasn't. And then I saw a photo that I was in, it wasn't a photo of me, but I was in the background of it. And I just looked ridiculous. I looked so unhealthy, so unhappy. And I was like, that's what I look like to other people. Like, that was, like I said, I didn't think I looked amazing, but I was like, whoa, that's what I like look like, and that's, it didn't sit right with me at all. So those combination of those two things got me to going to the gym. And then, of course, COVID happened, literally 2 months after, because I started in January. My gyms and everything closed in, like, March. So, the second I start my fitness journey, the gyms close. So, I was like, am I just meant to, like, be, like, big forever? Like, is this how it works? Like, come on. Because I've tried going to the gym multiple times when I was, like, younger. Never stuck to it, never amount to anything. Always quit the membership, always failed. So, I was like, really, this time again, huh? Of course, COVID shuts the gyms down. But I went for walks. I didn't have work. And again, I didn't have school. So I just went for walks every day. I think it was like around 5 miles around like my little neighborhood. Just did that. I stopped drinking soda. And I stopped eating late at night. I stopped eating those Stouffer's lasagnas, those family size lasagnas late at night before bed. And just doing those 3 things, again, no gym, nothing crazy. I was still eating out, like, Jersey Mike's, Panda Express. That's just what's close to me. I was still eating out a lot. But just doing those other 3 things got me to like 250, 220. And then the gyms finally opened back up. And man, it, kind of just took off from there. I'm around like 195 right now. I keep fluctuating between like 190 and like 200, 210. And that's just like whether I'm on muscle or if I ate really heavy the day before, just stuff like that. But a lot of it's muscle now. Before it was all fat. I had 37% body fat. There's a scale at the gym at Lifetime that tells you that. And 37% of me was just body fat. And that was nuts. Now it's down to like 15 or 12 or something like that. And, it's mostly muscle now, which is awesome. So, lost all the weight. And that was amazing. The best thing for me. But as we'll talk about a little bit later with the physical health journey, it wasn't the answer I was looking for, or at least I thought it was going to be. So anyway, lost all the weight, got a new job, and I found, my second girlfriend. I'll say, because I've had girlfriends when you're in like middle school, high school. It's like whatever. It's not really it's not really your girlfriend. It's just like nice little fling, whatever. Actual girlfriend, second one, and we worked together. It's like my one like continuous flaw is I keep dating people I'm working with. I don't know why. It's just who you're around, I guess, and you got stuff in common, whatever. So we dated. And sorry, I gotta check my phone. But we dated, and it didn't last long. It was maybe like 3 or 4 months. My buddy, I assume he's watching the stream. Stuff for Lasagna is gross. Yeah, dude, Stuff for Lasagna, bro. That shit was my favorite. Was my go-to. Meat Lovers too. But anyway, we dated. 3-4 months. Wasn't anything special, but to me it was. It was more fulfilling than my other relationship that lasted, maybe what was it, 3-4 times as long. But this one was a little bit more fulfilling. And when we broke up, it was just like, I didn't get cheated on this time, but I felt like I did. We broke up twice. First time was when her friend was coming into town from a different state. So like we broke up on like a Wednesday because he was coming in Thursday, and then like he left Thursday, Sunday. We got back together on Monday, so it just seemed kind of weird to me. I'm not saying I would have gotten cheated on, or I didn't because we weren't together during that little weekend, but like, yeah, kind of weird, right? But then we got back together or whatever. But then we broke up again, maybe like a month or two after. And I don't know what it was about that relationship. I wish I could go back and like understand why I felt the way I did. But I was so depressed with that relationship. I didn't think I was gonna come out of that one. I didn't think I was gonna be able to wake up and not think about her. Everything reminded me of her, and I still worked with her at that job, which is why I gotta quit dating coworkers, and why I haven't since. But that was a tough time. And then my boss at the time, she did a really good job of like trying not to schedule us at the same time. However, it's inevitable. I would work 9 to 1. She would work 1 to 5. We're not working together, but we do see each other in that passing, and like just that for me was a trigger. And I was like, I'd get in the car and I'd be crying and shit the whole way home, or like you'd see her name on the schedule or her punch-in card. Just seeing that would be a trigger, or just even being in the hallways of where I worked and like where we worked together and saw her before, like just being in those rooms, triggered it for me and sparked it for me. So I had to get out of that job. I didn't right away though. And so I continued to suffer, and at that time everything just seemed very pointless. I don't know. I don't want to stutter, and I don't want to go on rambling. That was not the whole point of this podcast or the stream. That's why I need a guest. But because I haven't really talked about this stuff out loud, to be honest. I've talked about it a few times, but never really like out loud to myself or in front of a camera or anything like that. So pardon me if it takes me a second. Just nothing felt right. The breakup was way too hard on me. I feel like I couldn't be loved. I had lost all the weight, and again we'll get to this when I go over the physical health journey a little bit more. But I had lost all the weight, and I still got broken up with. I still wasn't enough, because to me, when I was heavy, I was like, okay, if I just lose all the weight, I'm gonna be happy. Girls are going to be attracted to me. I'm going to go on so many dates. I'm going to have so many friends, etc., etc. And I think that's something a lot of people feel when they go on like a physical health journey. They do it for the wrong reasons, and they just think, oh, dude, once I'm skinny, everything's going to change. It doesn't. Again, we'll get to that in a little bit, but it doesn't. And it didn't. I had a breakup and may or may not have been cheated on, whatever. Again. So I was like, okay, nothing matters. I lost all the weight, whatever. So then I got a therapist specifically to get over my ex, and it wasn't like a relationship therapist. It was just a therapist, just get over my ex. That was like the main goal. We should have worked on other things, but that was like the main thing I wanted to figure out. And I don't know if I just had a bad experience with therapy. I think therapy can be an awesome thing, and I've heard awesome stories from my friends who've gone therapy, and people I've worked with that have also gone to therapy. But I had a therapist that I just didn't connect with at all. I don't know what it was. Yeah, maybe it was because it was during COVID, so we couldn't be in person. It was over Skype or Zoom, whatever it was. We just didn't connect. She asked me questions that didn't upset me, but she would like challenge some things, I would say. And I was like, oh, I feel that's how I feel. I don't know why you're challenging it. I don't know. It was just a bad time, so I stopped seeing my therapist. So lost all the weight, didn't matter. Still got broken up with. I went to therapy, and that's always been like the backup. Whenever I was sad or depressed before this, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm not gonna kill myself. And if this is a triggering topic, by the way, you're gonna want to click off now. But I was like, I'm not gonna kill myself because I still have therapy. I've never tried therapy. Blank. Cool. Awesome. I've tried therapy now, and it didn't work. It went horribly. I feel worse than I did because now my backup plan's gone. And obviously it's stupid to think about now because, it was one therapist. You barely tried it for a couple months. There's more therapists out there than just, her. Obviously, you have to find your right one. I've learned that now. But at the time, I was like, cool, therapy didn't work. That was the safety net. So, February 18th of 2021, I remember this because I feel like it's normal to remember this stuff. This is about 2 months after the breakup. I texted two of my best friends. I'll just say that. I texted two of my best friends at like 11 p.m. I texted them both pretty much the same message. I was like, hey, like, you guys know I've been dealing with stuff. I'm depressed, all this kind of shit. I don't know if I can get through it tonight. And if anything was to happen, I'm gonna start crying again. Great. I was like, if anything's to happen, just know I love you guys. I've cherished our times together, etc. All that good stuff. And one of them replied, saying, "Hey, I know you've been going through stuff. I hate that you're going through it. It sucks. I wish you weren't, but like, he didn't say whatever happens, happens, but the text was very, whatever happens, happens. That's how I kind of perceived it. He's like, I wish you wouldn't do it, but hey, like, I know you're feeling this way, blah, blah." So to hear that, from your best friend, like when you're crying from, like, your supposed best friend, when you're crying for help is kind of tough. My other friend, he didn't say anything. But at 11:50, the cops came and knocked at my door. Said, "Do you know a guy by this name?" My other friend. And he's like, "Yeah, he called the cops about a certain thing. We have to ask you some questions." The cops asked me questions. And then the paramedics came and asked me questions because they're more, licensed or trained to do it than the cops were. And based off my answers, which, looking back on my answers, were very, okay, we need to take this guy in. Based off my answers, they put me in the ambulance and took me to the hospital. And I've never been to, I've never been in an ambulance before. So the first time I'm in an ambulance, I'm in my pajamas because I couldn't even go change because they thought if I went and go changed into actual clothes or something, I'd, kill myself or something on the way upstairs. I don't know. But, they just take you right away. No handcuffs or anything. Just got into the ambulance, drove into the hospital. And, I stayed there for 18 hours. I wasn't supposed to have my phone, but I had my phone, I think. I wasn't supposed to have it, but I had it under the pillow. But, yeah, my friend had messaged our other friends and asked what he should do, and then he called the cops, so... And I was so mad at the time. I was so frustrated. I was like, what the fuck are you calling the cops for? Sorry for my language, but I was like, what are you calling the cops for? And obviously, it was the right decision. I'm glad he made it. I'm glad he did it. Now, I look back and I feel bad that I was ever upset with him. But 18 hours at that hospital. Had it not been for me testing positive for COVID, which I felt amazing, but I guess I tested positive for COVID while I was there. Had it not been for that, I would have been sent to, a mental hospital or something, which is scary to think about. Extremely scary to think about. Maybe I needed it at the time, but trust me, very scary to think about, for sure. But yeah, tested positive for COVID, so I couldn't go. No places wanted somebody who had COVID because it would, corrupt the system or some shit. I don't know. Whatever. They didn't want it to spread. I get it. So my nurse was a super nice guy. His name was Angel. Um, I'm not gonna say too many names during cast, but like his name was Angel. Um, really nice nurse. But the what are those guys? Not is it psychiatrist? I don't think it's psychiatrist. Whoever deals with like people that are like the brain, whoever deals with the brain or something like that. I can't remember what his title was. He was like, I don't want to say a dick, but he kind of was a dick. He came in, I only saw him twice during those like 18 hours, and he came inside my room for like 5 minutes each time. He came in, and he's like he like barged in this first time, and he's like, so did you have a plan? I was like, what? He's like, did you have a plan, like how to do it, when you were gonna do it, all this kind of stuff. I was like, no, and I generally didn't have a plan. I was just sad, depressed, thought it was over, but didn't have a plan or anything like that. No, nothing like that. And so I was like, no, I didn't have a plan. He's like, I think you had a plan. I was like, like I'm laughing at it now because like that's how I get through things. But I'm like, what? Like, no, I didn't have a fucking plan. Like it was so weird to hear that come from like a licensed, trained professional. I was like, no, I didn't have a plan. Like whether you believe me or not, I didn't have one. And he just left. I was like, okay. Hours go by, whatever. And again, no psychiatric hospital needed a COVID patient. So he came back like a couple hours later, 3 to 4 hours later. He's like, if I let you go, are you going to kill yourself? Like, if I let you go home, are you going to kill yourself? And I was like, no. And he's like, all right, well, your nurse is going to be in here with the papers, for release. We're contacting your parents. They're, one of them is going to come pick you up. And, like, I'm glad I got to go home, obviously. But I was like, really? Like, that's... like, are you going to do it if I let you go? No? Alright. It was so weird. Such a just weird experience. Like, as a professional, to do it like that. So, anyway, my nurse Angel, he came back with all my belongings that they took from me. And I literally told him. I stopped him, because he was such a nice guy. I was like, that psychiatrist, or, again, probably not a psychiatrist, I can't remember the name, but I was like, that guy. I told Angel, I was like, see, this is why kids like me maybe choose to end their life, because they know if they say anything about it, or if they talk to anybody about it, they're going to get put in a hospital, put in a psychiatric ward, or, whatever I could have gone to if I didn't have COVID, or they're going to be judged for it. And like that, I was like, this is why people don't talk. And if you don't have friends or parents that you can talk to about this kind of stuff, who the hell else are you going to talk to about it? Because everyone else is going to, like, even your therapist, some therapists will just throw you in, like, oh, hey, this guy's thinking about it, let's call the cops on him. And some people need that, some people need to go to a psychiatric place to get better, for sure. But, like, nobody wants that, and that's why people just do stuff. That's why they don't get stuff off their mind. That's why I'm doing this podcast. One, for me to let it all out, but for other people to let it out as well, if people choose to share it in chat or comments or whatever this podcast turns into. So, but yeah, got released. Went home. I think I probably had Chick-fil-A the same day. Like, I just went back into public. Like, nothing happened that day. It was very weird looking back on it. So yeah, that one night is very... Well, I'll always remember the date, always remember the times, everything. I will always remember everything from that night. And then yeah, years go by. I was fine. And again, still losing weight, still looking alright. Just working. I get a job at Lifetime Fitness, which helped. Free membership. And then I'd get off work, and I'd get to just go right upstairs, and that was my work and my workout, same place. Awesome. Met some amazing people at Lifetime. Just awesome. But then Lifetime got to the point where I came in such a rut, and every day was just monotonous as all hell. I'd wake up like super early because I had like a really early morning shift. Wake up at like 5 a.m., go to work 6 to 2, go work out from 2 to 4, go home. And it was the same thing every day for over a year. And I just remember feeling pointless. Like, what was the point of all this? Just depressed again. Not to the point where... I don't want to say not to the point as my, that one night. But it was very close. Again, pointless. I would go home crying, in my car. Like, I would purposely put on sad music that would remind me of, like, an ex. Or just any kind of sad music just to cry because you wanted to and you needed to feel it. Because, again, I did not have friends or family, like I said, we'll get into that a little bit later too, that I could go to with this kind of stuff. I just did not. So I would just let it all out by myself in the car or at home in bed. For some reason, I would put on Perks of Being a Wallflower, that movie. I don't know why that's like my comfort movie. Is it a comfort movie if it makes you cry and makes you sad? I don't know. That was like the movie I would put on and just feel bad. But it would feel good to feel bad. It's super weird to say, if that makes any sense at all. But you just want to cry sometimes, so. And then it got to the point where I thought I wanted to be an EMT or a firefighter, and it was such a short-lived stint that I was going to do that. And looking back on it, I'm glad I didn't become that, because I was going to do it for the completely wrong reasons. I was going to save lives solely because I hated mine and thought mine had no purpose. So I was like, I need to find purpose in my life. I literally have to save others. It's the only way I could find purpose. And it would have been such a terrible reason to be a firefighter. Obviously, saving lives is cool and important, obviously. But I was doing it for the wrong reasons. I was doing it for me at the end of the day, so that I could feel something. And to have purpose at your job, obviously that's important. It's okay to be selfish in that aspect. But for it to be the sole aspect of why I wanted to do EMT or firefighter is not a good reason, in my opinion. So after I left Lifetime, it's kind of where I am now. And I'm in a really good spot right now. Like I said, listening to these podcasts, especially by Jay Shetty, have been just wonderful. I have such a great gym life work balance right now, where I work nights, like overnights, not overnights, but I work like 5 to like 2 a.m. 5 p.m. to 2 a.m. But I have so much time in the morning to go to the gym and do what I love. I can have like 3 to 4 hours after the gym, and then I go to work, and it's just a great balance right now for me, and I'm such a great state right now that I've wanted to share it. I've wanted to help other people feel it, etc., etc. So that's kind of why we're here doing this podcast now. So, and I kind of got bullet points over here on like a notepad, and that was like bullet point number 1. And it took me a long time to get through that one, about 42 minutes. So we're probably gonna speed through a couple of these other ones. I don't want it to be too long of a podcast. Like I said, I didn't want it to be rambling, but this first one was really just about me and about why I'm doing this podcast. So I feel like you had to know a little bit of that backstory, a little bit of that one night that I'll always bring up. So, but yeah, the other one was going to be about the physical health journey, because again, mental health podcast, but I want it to be about physical health as well, because I feel like physical health and mental health are linked. Physical health is, I wish everyone could feel the way I do when I go to the gym. I feel like a lot of people, when they think about going to the gym or they wake up and go to it, they're like, oh, gym, here we go. I gotta do this crap. I have so much fun going there. Like if I don't go, the day feels off. It's chalked. It's just ruined for me. Like Sundays are my recovery days, and I hate Sundays because I'm not at the gym. Excuse me. I feel like I just didn't do anything that day if I didn't go to the gym. But obviously, when you lift, when you work out, endorphins, those things release to feel good. And then social interaction. Like I said, at Lifetime, I met so many awesome people. A lot of people I still talk to today. So yeah, just going to the gym. You feel good. You get to look good, so your self-esteem gets to go up. And you can look good without going to the gym. You could look, be whatever way you want to be and feel good about yourself. I don't want it to seem like you gotta go to the gym to feel good. You can look however you want to feel good. That kind of self-love is something I envy. I just didn't have that kind of self-love, and I still don't. But we'll talk about self-love a little bit. But self-esteem goes up. You feel good. You look good. Clothes that you want to fit in or that you used to fit in fit. They fit better. And then the social aspect of going to the gym, finding people, like-minded people. I wish everyone felt the way I do about the gym. But then again, like I said earlier, the gym I realized wasn't the answer, because I thought if I lost all the weight and looked a certain way, girls are gonna flock to my DMs. I'm going on dates like crazy, and oh my god, my friends are gonna be envious, and everyone's gonna just love me if I look this way. Stupid way to think. And it definitely didn't turn out that way. And if anything, again, coming back to thief of all joy, that being comparison. When you're like a fitness person and you're on Instagram all the time and you like certain tweet or you like certain images or follow certain people, of course the algorithm's gonna take you, and like if you look on your For You page, my For You page right now is like a ton of people exercising, and it's a bunch of guys that just look absolutely jacked. Half of them, 75% of them are probably on steroids. But you see these guys and you're like, I need to look like that. Like, oh my god, like I thought I looked good. Look at that guy. He's lifting this. He looks like that. And then you see like all these gym couples and you're like, oh my god, I wish I had that. And like it goes back to that comparison is the thief of all joy, and it sure is, man. But I can't look at it like that. 303-pound me would be absolutely flabbergasted by who I am now. Never would have thought it would be possible that I looked like me now. But because of comparison, me now is like, oh my god, like I still look like crap. Or there's some days where oh my god, I still look fat. I still have excess skin. I still don't look like that guy on Instagram. So, blah blah blah. Sorry if you heard that Discord notification. So, that was that with the whole gym. It's a wonderful place to be. I wish more people would do it. But again, just be careful with it. Be careful with the comparison. Don't buy too much into the whole models and influencers and shit like that. Just be you. Shoot for your dream, your dream physique, and try to get halfway there. Greg Doucette is a IBB pro, a lifting pro, and he's a YouTuber. He says that all the time. Like, most people don't have the genetics, or you're just not going to reach your dream physique. Get halfway there. If you get halfway there, which is pretty much what I think I am right now, you're probably even more than halfway there from when I was 300 pounds, you're going to feel so amazing. So I strongly recommend doing that. And don't set your goals too outlandish, because you're not going to reach them. Especially if like you give up really easily when you don't hit a goal. Like if your goal is to lose 100 pounds, don't make that your goal. I know it's the goal in your back of your mind. Lose 5, lose 10, and make small goals for yourself, and then give yourself a reward. I'm not saying go eat, fucking cheesecake as your reward. I'm saying give yourself some kind of reward. I don't know what it is, whatever motivates you. But lose 10 pounds. Okay, I lost 10. Okay, great. I can lose another 10. That small goals are going to get you to that big goal. But if you just have, I want to lose 100, you're going to stop so quickly because you're not reaching your goals. You're not giving yourself any sort of incentive to get there. There's just no celebration of it. So, small goals all the way there. So anyway, now at the mental and physical journey, my backgrounds are kind of out of the way. I do want to talk about self-love a little bit. I was going to save this one for last, but I just want to talk about this one now because it's the most relevant to me right now. Self-love, I'm still working on it. I think a lot of people are still working on it. But it's okay to work on it. Sophia Bush, she's an actress. She's in Chicago PD. I believe she was in One Tree Hill. But I know her from Chicago PD. She was on Jay Shetty's podcast. And I'm going to keep going back to this guy's podcast because I just love it. It's like it's the inspiration for why I'm doing this one. I'm going to butcher the quote, but she coined like the phrase, you could be a masterpiece but a work in progress at the same time. And I love that. I felt like it resonated with me a little bit. Like, you can still think of yourself like, I'm this masterpiece, but and don't let it go to your head. Don't have like a crazy ego about it. But like, it's not even an ego thing. You could be a masterpiece, but you can still work on yourself. Everyone still has things to work on, of course, for people. So that's something I'm kind of looking at with the whole self-love. and it literally just came up the other day at work, where we have certain scores we got to reach at work, and my scores are going up. I'm super new to the job. I've only had this job for maybe like 3 weeks or so, and my scores are really high for someone who just started. I'm doing really well, but I have such a high standard and expectation for myself and literally everything I do, and it goes back to being a kid in baseball, and I have to be the best at everything I do immediately. Like, it's a stupid way to feel. It's a stupid way to think, but that's how I've always been. So I need my scores are high, but they're not as high as everyone else's that have been working there for 9 years. So of course they're not going to be. But my mind doesn't think of that all the time. So I was like, my supervisor came up. She's like, "Yeah, your scores are super good. Like, we're super happy for you. Fist bump, whatever." And I'm like, "Yeah, my scores are kind of shit." I was like, "They're kind of ass. Not really happy about them." And like I would keep getting down about myself about it, even though I just started 3 weeks ago. And she's like, "Okay, well." She's like, "You see that guy over there that you've been talking to?" And really, really nice guy. Dude's been there for a while. Always says hi to me, like, when he comes into work. Super happy. Hell, he says hi to me like 4 times a day. And if anytime he sees me, he'll say, "Hey, what's going on, Kyle?" All this kind of stuff. Super nice guy. She's like, his scores are half of what yours are right now. And he's been here for, 5 months, 6 months. So his scores are less than yours. And you think yours are shit. She said, "Go tell your buddy over there that his scores are terrible. Go tell him that he's doing shit right now." And I'm like, "Well, why would I tell him that?" And, she's like, "Well, you said your scores are shit and his are way worse than yours. So go tell him he's all, like, extra shit. Go ahead and tell him he's doing just awful." I was like, "I'm not going to do that." And she's like, "Exactly. So why would you say it to yourself?" Like, and we do it so often with everything we do. Like, you wouldn't say some of the things that you say to yourself to other people. You just wouldn't. You simply wouldn't. There was a study, or there was an experiment I've heard about, where they were talking to some girl, and like she was, they told her, write down what she thinks of herself, ugly, this and that, and then so anything that she wrote on this paper, they told her, "All right, go tell your little sister that. Go tell her she's those things." Well, why would I say that to her? Oh, well, why do you say it to yourself? So that's just something I've been really thinking about. Anytime I say something bad to myself, I think it's great to have expectations for me. I strive to achieve more. I strive to work hard because I know I can, and I should, and I want better things, bigger and better things for myself. But there's got to be a balance. You cannot be expecting yourself to be perfect or amazing at something you just started. And talk to yourself a little bit nicer. I think a lot of people talk to themselves in a really terrible way, especially myself. So, just next time I advise you guys, next time you're going to say something or think about something to yourself, would you say it to someone else? The odds are probably no. So then why would you say it to yourself? Just think about that. Alright, last 2 things I want to talk about is, like, family and friends for me, and I think that's going to explain a lot why I feel the way I feel, or, felt the way I felt. And I think that's something I don't get to talk about a lot, really. Family issues. My family, I've been in this house all 26 years. It's me and my mom, my dad. They're not together. I don't know if they ever worked together. That's something I haven't really sat down and talked to them about. I don't know what's going on with that. But we all live in the same house. They don't like each other. And we all live very much separate lives, I'd say. I'm here. Dad's in his room. My mom's usually downstairs. It's usually how it is every day. And, like, we all live separate lives. It's very weird. I don't know what it's like to have a family that's divorced, where, your mom's in the house and dad's in that house. So I don't know. I assume that's extremely hard. Not being able to see both of them. At least I do have both of them in the same roof, and I could say hi to both of them every day. But being in the same house where 2 people aren't fans of each other, I'll say, I'm not going to argue that it's harder, because I don't know if it's harder or not, but it's extremely tough and toxic. It's not a good place to live in. especially when there are people I can't really talk about mental health with. They don't, and this isn't a knock against them. They've done a lot of great things for me, but I cannot talk about mental health with either of them. They don't understand it. They're both very old heads, where it's like, what are you complaining about? You have all this, and that. We back when I was a kid, we had this, and but you guys got this now, and comparison, thief of joy again. It was just, oh, what are you complaining about? What are you guys sad about? You have a house, you have money, this, and that. So they just don't get it. They really don't. And we really don't have any deep dialogue with each other. And that's something I've really appreciated lately with my friends. There's one friend who I used to, and it sucks that I used to do this, but he's very smart and he knows how to talk better than I can. And clearly from this, whole podcast, I don't know how to talk. I'm very rambly. He's very soft-spoken, knows how to talk. He's very smart. And he would have he'd try to have deep conversations with me, and I would kind of clown him for it, because I just didn't know how to talk about feelings or emotions that well, and sometimes I still don't. But now I absolutely adore talking to him, because I can have a deep conversation with him. It's an intellectual conversation. I love that. It's not you. It's not you, Tink. Unfortunately, it's one of my IRL friends. But no, I feel like you are someone I could talk deeply with. That's for sure. But no, one of my RLs. Again, I would clown him for these deep conversations, but now I love having them, and I don't have them enough, and I'm gonna see him tomorrow, so I'm really excited to have some more conversation with him about that. But yeah, with the family, there is none of that. There's no deep dialogues. Can't really talk about much going on, and there is absolutely no hugging. I love yous. There is so little of that, whether it's through text or in person. There's none of that, and I've gotten over it. I don't really care about it that much, but I feel like I tell myself that to suppress it. So it's kind of just become what I live with. So I'm like, whatever, it's fine. But that leads me into my friends, the friends category of the stream, where I think because of that, I have a really tough time with my best friends, who, when we're done hanging out, or when we're done on PlayStation party chat, they'll be like, all right, have a good night, thanks for coming over, blah, blah, blah. And then one of them always says, I love you, and gives you a hug. I have the most awkward fucking hugs of all time, especially with him. And whenever he says, I love you, it is almost impossible for me to say I love you back, because it's just, it doesn't sound right. I don't know why. I assume I do. Maybe I don't know what love is, so maybe I don't. Or maybe I just haven't said it enough in my life to where I just, or where I get emotion like that, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird, But he says it to me, and I just, yeah, I love you too, man. Very quick, very, yeah, whatever. So, and I could tell he can sense. I know he can sense that. Maybe he doesn't feel reciprocated, because I give it in such a cold, quick way. So but my friends, I have one friend group here. A lot of them left for college, and went to different high schools back then, and just I've gone separate ways with a lot of my friends. Most of my friends are IRL or online friends from the gaming, the esports community. So many of them, and I love them. But I've had very few IRL friends, and I think that makes it very tough. Obviously, you don't get to hang out as much, don't get to go out as much, do fun stuff, don't get to have those kind of memories. But the one group I do have, I'm kind of running into an impasse with them, especially as of late. Someone who I thought was my best friend, I end up comparing I used to a lot, compare myself to him in his situation. He's been a better looking guy than I am. He's always gotten the girls, and more importantly, he's got a crazy close family. Super close. They always have parties at their house. Not crazy parties, but for birthdays, or the sister's getting married, so here's a party. But he is in a very close Hispanic family, you know, couldn't be tighter. And so when I go over to their house, you know, you see it, you feel it. Family photos and collages all over the damn house, and you know, when I interact with them, they're so sweet. Like, so I would always, again, comparison, thief of joy. I would compare my family and my situation to him and his, and again, it's like, oh, it's not enough that this guy looks this way, or it's not enough that he's got, you know, all the girls, but now this motherfucker's got a great family to go back to. It's just wild. You know, I would always be like, all right, you know, of course, you know, this guy's got it. So I would end up not hating him for it, but like resenting him for it. And it was a weird, very weird thing to do. And then as of late, my friend group's very distant, and like they go to school. And obviously we're in summer break right now at the time of recording this. You know, it's July. Well, it's August, but still. We talked about, well, at least one of them, the one that goes to school, talked about how much hanging out we were going to do this summer. You know, I don't go to school, so it's not my summer, but like how much hanging out we were going to do this summer and how much everything we were going to like accomplish. We've done absolutely none of that. One of my friends is usually busy with his girlfriend, and that's okay. They're great together. I'm happy he's happy. I want him to do what he wants to do, obviously. Hardly makes time for any of us. And maybe he just doesn't want to. I'm a big factor of people will make time for what they love and what they care about. So when you don't make time for me or the rest of the friend group, it's very clear to me what's going on. And then the other one just never wants to hang out. And then when you don't hang out with him or don't like do something with him, he's like, oh, you know, sick invite, or like I'll just give you a very specific example. Like, we told him we want to play zombies again. Download Black Ops 3 or Black Ops 4, and we'll just play both. We'll play zombies on both of those games. This motherfucker downloads Cold War. Again, sorry for the language, but like this guy downloads Cold War, and then we'll be like, hey guys, you know, when we playing Cold War? And nobody does, because we're all hopping on Black Ops 3 or 4. And then you'll bitch like, oh, you know, when I get on, none of you guys ever invite me, or you guys don't play with me, or whatever, blah, blah. How the hell are you going to download a different game? And then, like, you know, be like, oh, no one invites me, no one. We told you with the download. We know you have both games, so it was just really weird. And now it's like, and then he plays the victim card, and then he's like, it's just been such a weird dynamic lately with this friend group that I have, that I'm starting to, I used to excuse a lot of their actions, especially my best friend's actions, but I can't ignore the ways I feel. So it's been really interesting lately. So again, still working on things. You could be a masterpiece, but a work in progress, and that's kind of where we are in life right now. I'm still very much a cynical person. I unfortunately see the worst in a lot of people, most people, and especially in the world we live in. I see a lot of just stuff I'm disgusted with. I hate where the world's kind of going. I'm not going to get all political or anything like that. Trust me, it's the last thing I want to do on this whole podcast, especially tonight. But I tend to see the worst in things, the worst in people right now. But we're working towards it. Again, I think it's nice that I can enjoy those deep conversations with my friends now. So working on that, working on myself as always, physically, but mostly important mentally. I've accomplished a lot of the things I wanted to physically. Mentally is the main thing I'm trying to work on now, and I've been doing a good job, especially with all the stuff I've been learning. So, when I do have guests, and I have a couple guests lined up for this podcast on the next couple Fridays, I'm always going to end the stream with a final 5 questions. And this is, again, something I've, you know, kind of taken from Jay Chevy. I feel like it's not plagiarism, it's just inspiration. But he'd always ask his guys 5 final questions. Kind of like doing my own thing about it. 3 of them are more of a fun question. 2 of them are kind of like, okay, let's, you know, think about it for a second. But I figured, no guest, I'll just ask myself these 5 questions and just boom, answers for you. First thing I want to ask everyone is like their favorite destination to travel to, especially with like, esports, a lot of traveling going on. So I'm always going to ask their favorite destination. Mine's been probably Toronto or Anaheim. Anaheim events for Call of Duty the weather is just gorgeous. You know, you get Disney in Anaheim when you're at that event, and like just so many memories are made, for me at least, at those Anaheim events. Like, if you've been to it, you've been to it, and you know, if you know, that walkway when you go up to the convention center, just a picture of that brings back so much memories. So, that or Toronto. Toronto was a place I recently went to. I love Canada. I hate their airport. Toronto's got the worst airport in the world. You can go and book that right now. You, like, write that down. Air Canada and Toronto Pearson Airport, just a deadly duo for traveling. So just take that with what it's worth. But Toronto itself was gorgeous. The event I went to was great. The team I was working with did great, and the food was amazing. You can't throw a rock in Toronto without hitting a sushi place or a ramen place or just something. It's so diverse there too. Like the people, the food, everything's diverse in Toronto, and it was awesome. Favorite game of all time, especially that isn't Call of Duty. When I do ask these Call of Duty pros this question, mine's the Walking Dead game, the Telltale version, just the greatest story game of all time, for me at least. You know, spoiler from season 1, when Lee dies, oh, it's the saddest shit in the world. It's the best worst moment in gaming for me at least. Next two questions are a little bit more thought-provoking for them, for the guests. But best piece of advice you've ever, heard or received. That one for me, it's not really advice, but it's like a saying that I like to think about, where pressure is a privilege. It means things are expected of you. Kind of goes back to that, me putting too much pressure on myself, or like I expect more of myself. Like when people at work test me or pressure me to do better, it's not because they want to see me fail, or it's like, oh, I'm gonna put this on him so he fails. Like it's because stuff's expected of you, and when things are testing you, it's nice to be like, okay, I'm being tested because I can do this, because they know I can. So that's probably the best piece of advice or saying that I've heard or seen. Fourth question: if you could change one thing about the world, what would it be? This is a loaded question. I'm excited to hear people's answers for this one. Mine would probably be the school system, and I've thought about all these answers. That's why I'm just rattling them off. The school system for sure. I feel like they don't teach you anything important, really. I had to do taxes this last year myself. Like what? I looked at it and I was like, what is this? I literally thought it was in hieroglyphics, and it was an alphabet. It was just so weird. They don't teach you how to buy a house, pay for a house, car, literally anything important. And other than like actual those life skills, I think we should start teaching about mental health, and just how to care about yourself, care about other people, how to see things from their perspectives, your perspective, all this kind of stuff. So the school system, I think, needs to be changed. That's the one thing in the world I would change. And yeah, obviously like world hunger, or like world education. I wish nobody would starve. Obviously that's like world peace. That's like the main answer. Obviously if I could do that, I would do that. But like I think besides those answers, school system would be like something that we could change, and something that's not like the typical world hunger, world peace answer. And then the last question, how I'm going to end every stream, is asking these people celebrity boxing charity match against one other pro or person in the scene, who would it be? I can't wait to hear some of these answers. I really can't, especially from some of the guests I have lined up. Honestly, if I had to pick, I don't know if my buddies from Discord are still watching this stream. I would pick Manta Rafer for sure. It's one of my buddies. His name's Rafer Dandy. He goes by Manta. A lot of people aren't going to know who that is, though. No offense to Rafer. So if I had to pick somebody that like a pro in the scene, I might just pick pick Rafer for what? The last question I'm going to ask my guest, Tink, which I'm asking myself right now, just a celebrity boxing charity match against one other pro/person in the scene, who would it be? I'm picking Manta Rafer. That's like on God. You already know that. I've like made the graphic of the card. It would happen. But a lot of people that are listening, especially on YouTube, aren't going to know who that is. No offense to Rafer, most people don't know who Manta Rafer is. So, for sake of the question, I would pick Doug Sensor Martin. I know he would probably whoop my ass because he's really strong, and like I'm picking the strongest dude ever, at least in COD. Maybe other than Pred. Pred's pretty strong too. I'm picking Doug. I just it just has to happen. You know, it'd be a fun match. And if I'm gonna fight somebody, let's fight the strongest, you know, most jacked physical guy in Call of Duty esports. So you know, why not? But if I had to pick one person that, even if you know him or not, it's Manta Ray for 100%. So, well, it's been about over an hour, and I've gone through most of the subjects I wanted to go through. So, I think that's gonna be it for the podcast number 1. I feel like I'm confident enough to say who some of the guests are coming up. I don't know if I want it to be a surprise. I kind of do, but I don't at the same time. You know what? Screw it. I'll just like release some of them. One of the guests that we're still working on, that I have a production company that I'm still working on getting is Tyler Fellow, Call of Duty professional player. Been really good friends with him for a while. So, I would love to talk to him about a lot of things. So he's somebody that I want to get on the podcast. So whenever he's free. And then Sean Rogers. I believe his last name is Rogers. I just know he goes by Spaceman on Twitter, but I'm 1,000% sure. It's Sean Rogers. Spaceman on Twitter. He is a old Call of Duty caster, and now he casts Rocket League, among other things. Mostly Rocket League, though. And he's been doing amazing with Rocket League. And he also does film reviews, I believe, on YouTube. That's like his new thing that he likes to do as a side passion project. Like, really dives deep into film, so I think talking to him is going to be, 1, really entertaining, and 2, like, actually, like, educational, and he's going to be smart when he talks. So it's going to, you know, counteract me pretty well. So, Fellow and Spaceman are 2 of my guests that I have pretty much almost lined up, almost 100%. But obviously, keep up with the Twitter for that one. Again, all the links are below my webcam here. So that's you'll be able to find who's going to be on the show, when I'm going to do the next one. Again, I'm shooting for Fridays. So every Friday here at Media by KJM on Twitch. The VOD will go up the next day on YouTube. And yeah, I appreciate you guys being here for this first one. It was nice to talk about what's happened and how I've felt the past 7-8 years. It's been nice to get things off my chest. I know it's a lot of rambling. I didn't want it to be a very scripted episode. Obviously, I did want bullet points. I didn't want it to be scripted, though. And that's how I want most of these podcasts to be, so I'm excited for getting some real guests in here next time, and then we can talk to them and not have to listen about me and my problems for for an hour. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll hopefully see you guys next Friday with a guest. So take care of yourselves and each other.